It was a choice. While in Germany with study abroad, I chose to visit Buchenwald concentration camp outside the city of Weimar. I chose to take the guided tour. And at the end of the tour, when the final building to visit was the crematorium, the guide offered a choice. You can walk around if you think it might be too hard to see, or you can go through. I made a choice. As I stood inside this building in reverent silence, I hardly noticed the half-dozen other visitors to the camp moving around in the room, until one of them spoke to me. Of course he's been here before. I mean, not in this building, but he's been here to the camp. The middle-aged man speaking gestured to an older man standing between him and the ovens. Are you saying that man was in this camp? I asked. Yes, he said. My father was a prisoner here. Let me introduce you. He was not a large man, but strong nonetheless from years of life spent outside doing manual labor. His dark, wrinkled exterior was graced by gentle, kind eyes and a smile overflowing from some source of peace. His son served as our translator. This old Hungarian Jew was 17 years old when he was snatched from society, forced to work in the camp quarry, and subjected to the loneliness that comes from not knowing if the rest of your family is dead or alive. He wasn't given a choice in this. He became a number, one of over 200,000 people incarcerated at Buchenwald, whose gate reminded the prisoners, you get what you deserve. Robbed of his childhood, robbed of his identity, and robbed of the people he loved, he stood on this day, in this death room, with the only family he had now, an adult son he brought back to show and tell the story of the inhumanity that he survived. I asked him what it was like the day they were liberated. He said it was April 11th, 1945, but the day he remembers most is the day before that. Hearing rumors that the Allies were gaining ground in Germany gave the camp prisoners more courage to commit acts of rebellion. It was a Tuesday morning, and he hid behind a building hoping to avoid another day of labor as the work crews were moving out. He was quickly found, brought to the middle of the camp, and, in his words, the guards were going to make an example of him. But suddenly, he said, the sky grew dark with Allied planes. The guards scattered, and the punishment, or execution, was never enacted. The next day, the American soldiers marched into the camp, and the prisoners were freed. As I listened to his stories, I was swept away into a surreal but desperate moment in time. Almost 70 years after the end of the war, I was having this conversation with this man in this place. My thoughts and emotions swirled around as my heart and head were at once empathetic for the pain of the Jews, proud of their liberators, hopeful from this survivor's joy, but disappointed in humanity. As each moment passed with this man before me, I was wishing I had more time to listen and to learn. Where did you find peace after the war you've lived? What faith do you have in God because you know what humans can do to each other? How did you suffer what you did and emerge with joy? And I wondered about the choices he never had that took away life, and the choices he made that allowed him to live. His name was Joseph Freeman.